A.W. Tozer said, "What enters our minds when we think of God is the most important thing about us." That's a tricky thing because many of us, depending on our family upbringing, our religious upbringing, trauma we've endured, relationships we have, sin and shame, things that have been done to us, things that we've done, all those things impact us. Culture and media influence those thoughts, as well as our theological development or lack thereof. So 3 things really quickly that I think can help you and I. Obviously, you need to be a part of a biblical, Bible preaching, spirit-filled church. That's a huge help in making sure you think rightly about God. The other thing is when you are going to scripture, it's so important to keep God at the center. It's really easy for me to read scripture and think about me, or think about my church, or think about my city, but I need to think about God first. So to be theocentric in reading scripture is critical. The second thing is making sure to have doctrinal synthesis in place. So I'm allowing scripture to interpret scripture. I'm not allowing Joe Rogan or some podcast or some social media influencer to interpret scripture for me. There are many out there that do a good job. There are many out there that don't do a very good job. So important to let God define who he is and describe who he is. You do that by allowing scripture to explain scripture. Lastly, it's so important to not only make this an intellectual process, but an emotional, affectionate process. I do think it's so important to not just be reading words on the page as just principles to learn, but also making sure that there is a deep desire in our hearts to know God. Not just know God mentally, that's part of it. Knowing God intellectually, that's part of it. But knowing God with our full soul.